Barca are into the next round of Champions League after a draw against Atalanta, finishing second in the table of 36 team. Even though a draw would have guaranteed second place and qualified, Flick chose not to use the entire rotation. He realised that we could finish first and earn more money if we won and Liverpool lost.
A loss, on the other hand, could put us in fourth place, which would lower our earnings and increase the likelihood that we would face more difficult opponents in future knockout stages. As a result, Flick limited rotation, substituting De Jong and Eric Garcia for Cubarsí and Casado.
Given that practically every club that has tried to press us with a high defensive line has either given up several goals or at least given us several great chances, Atalanta's effort to press high was risky. However, Atalanta performed it better than any other squad we've faced.
Their primary tactic was a relentless man-to-man press. Ederson on Gavi, De Roon on Pedri, Pasalic on De Jong, Retegui on Garcia, and De Ketelaere on Araujo. When the ball moved outside, their wing-backs pressured our full-backs, and their back three followed our front three.
The game required a lot from them with the ball, and they needed to be braver in this regard. Under pressure as high as Atalanta's, jumping lines with tense vertical or diagonal passes is decisive.
Barca typically uses positional rotations to confuse markers and break this kind of press. Even if Frenkie and Pedri switched places and Gavi shifted farther to the left, the identical markings are still visible on Atalanta's defenders, demonstrating their extreme discipline.
Pasalic stayed with Frenkie even when he dropped deep between the centre-backs to give us our typical 3v2 numerical advantage in build-up, maintaining a balanced 3v3 and countering our typical strategy of taking control. Barca had to adjust to new solutions as a consequence.
By forcing Yamal to shift to the right or Rafinha to the left on occasion, we demonstrated positional flexibility to a new level. Although this created space as their movement dragged one of the center-backs, Lewandowski, who is not a strong runner, was unable to take advantage of it.
Lewandowski's long drop and pass to Yamal or Rafinha to attack the space behind was the only way to solve the problem, but it hardly ever occurred. As a result, even when we overcame their press, we only managed to rarely force them to drop their block and create very little threat. They greatly benefited from Atalanta's 3-for-1 lineup when they dropped their block. They could spread their defense with three centre-backs, making it impossible for us to find space on the flanks. We were also unable to establish numerical dominance in central areas since their three midfielders matched ours.
The structure of Atalanta limited them offensively and prevented them from taking advantage of our defensive weaknesses, even though it helped them defensively. Since our front three only pressured their back three, our pressing against Atalanta's 3-4-1-2 was simple. When we lost the ball, we also used strong counter-pressing, which helped us maintain possession but also put us in a vulnerable defensive position since several players were out of position, creating big gaps that they might occasionally exploit and put us in danger.
We benefited from Flick's tactical changes in the second half. The biggest shift was depending more on Lewandowski's dropping deep. It was clear from the first half that this was the most effective build-up option. Louis made room for Rafinha and Yamal by drawing a centre-back out of place.
Even if Lewandowski wasn't always accurate with his passes, he occasionally made heavy touches or failed passes. When he played his part effectively, it created a lot of danger. Barcelona's first goal and Yamal's brilliant effort a solo run was wasted. Those were directly caused by this strategy. Furthermore, Flick seems to be motivating players to engage in 1v1 matchups more frequently. These duels were naturally produced by Atalanta's man-to-man pressing, and Flick wanted his men to capitalize on Barcelona's superior individual skill.
Yamal therefore took advantage of his one-on-one encounters with Kolasinac. Yamal isolated Kolasinac and forced him into two fouls, one of which resulted in a yellow card and his eventual substitution, with the help of Count and Gavi occupying defenders.
But Atalanta's attacking play also improved throughout this half. Instead of depending just on long balls, they decided to play out from the back, becoming braver in their build-up. Their main change was to have De Roon drop deeper so that Pedri had to follow, opening up midfield space. The fact that Atalanta was beginning to capitalize on our team's lack of a natural defensive midfielder was also apparent. We took up our equalizing goal from Ederson because their midfielders were too free close to our box. After Ferran was introduced, the front three lost connection, despite the fact that Flick's substitutions made sense. All three forwards remained in their spots far too frequently, with none of them moving deep to give the others room, as Louis frequently did in this half.
We had trouble building momentum and were forced to use long balls or pointless possession since Atalanta was pushing more aggressively during this period. Nevertheless, we were able to score a second goal, although it came from a corner due to Atalanta's defenders' bad marking of Araujo.
After the goal, we also lessened our pressing pressure, giving their players more time to make accurate long passes. Since Araujo is still a little nervous while executing the offside trap, these passes became a crucial weapon against our high line, and they equalized.
Barcelona was able to restore control after Atalanta leveled the score by significantly lowering their defensive block. Nevertheless, in the last minutes, we were unable to overcome Atalanta's well-organized defense even though we dominated possession.
Being the only club to high-press Barcelona while keeping a strong defensive line and denying several opportunities, Gasperini's Atalanta deserves of a lot of credit. This demonstrates their defensive structure and tactical discipline.
To conclude, Barcelona and Atalanta played out an intense draw in the UCL. Lamine Yamal opened the scoring for Barca, but Ederson quickly equalized for Atalanta. Ronald Araujo then put Barcelona ahead with a header, yet Mario Pasalic's late strike ensured a point for the visitors. This result sees Barcelona secure second place in the league phase, while Atalanta will fight in the playoff round for a spot in the last 16. Barca will face one of the Benfica, Monaco, PSG, or Brest in the round of 16. Who would you like to play against Barca? Comment down below. Thank you for watching until the end. Subscribe for more.